Dragon Ball's secret ability. Dragon Ball is an anime with all sorts of techniques and abilities. Some of the more popular ones are the Kamehameha, Solar Flare, Monseiko, and Final Flash. Though while most of these are very well known, there are a couple that fans don't know of. The power-ups throughout the shows are many, yet people only know of a few. The one I will be talking about is Teamwork. Teamwork is a huge power-up in Dragon Ball, and is one that is barely talked about, even though these characters continue to use this technique and continue to fight with each other to overwhelm the enemy and completely take them down. Before I begin, I would appreciate if you guys like and subscribe for more anime, manga, and general fictional content. And with that, I hope you all enjoy. Teamwork is when two characters fight against a common opponent at the same time. In reality, that person isn't getting much stronger at all, since just two people attacking at once. Even with that, the two can still lose because they don't magically get stronger. The two can still be a lot weaker than the one they are fighting, and that would make them lose the fight. In Dragon Ball, these characters gain a power-up when they team up. Why do I say this? Every time characters fight against a stronger opponent, they do better than they would originally. Now, you can counterclaim and say that you would do better if you jump someone than if you don't, so of course it does make sense. Yet the gap is extra levels of strength that is way higher than it is in reality. Of course, that's not the only argument to why this is the case at all. To understand teamwork, we need to learn at every example in Dragon Ball and explain why there is such a power-up in this series. The first fight we see where there's a team up is Kid Goku and Kid Krillin versus Pirate Robot. At first the two were failing to do any damage one-on-one, yet magically when the two fought together they were able to easily defeat and beat down the Pirate Robot. This is the first example of many that my argument comes to light. Teamwork in Dragon Ball is a huge power-up, one that will make these characters be able to catch up and defeat their opponent. Now you can try and counterclaim that Goku and Krillin have more techniques and they were just difficult to fight. The main problem is that these two were completely dominant in speed and were beaten before they began to do teamwork. Now this could just be an outlier, so let's re-establish more feats that would make my argument true. Through the rest of the original Dragon Ball series, we don't see another example of teamwork, since it's mostly just one-on-one fights. So we will be moving on to Z. Dragon Ball Z gives us many examples on the power of teamwork and why it's so opponent. After all, it starts at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, Goku and Piccolo versus Raditz. Raditz in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z was such a threat that he was able to defeat Goku very easily, and didn't have much of a sweat at all, which is why he was terrifying and begins the power clipping of early Dragon Ball Z in comparison to original Dragon Ball. Raditz had immense power, enough to terrify Goku and Piccolo. So much in fact that the two hated enemies had decided that they had to work together. At first, the two of them were losing one-on-ones, but when they used teamwork they were able to at least keep up. Of course, it didn't win until Piccolo held his special attack that was able to pierce through Raditz and Goku. The power-up of teamwork was there. The problem is that Raditz was so much stronger than Goku and Piccolo that it didn't really change much of the outcome until Goku sacrificed himself in order to defeat Raditz. But we do see that these characters did get stronger once they were working together, though that won't be the first time something like this happened. But the fact Goku and Piccolo had a power-up when fighting Raditz proves my point. For the rest of the Saiyan Saga, teamwork like this wasn't shown, but the only thing similar is when Krillin, Gohan, and Yajirobe fought against Vegeta. They used techniques to defeat Vegeta, and while it does work for my argument, it is a little different than my arguments past because you can argue that they won because of Goku's Spirit Bomb. Either way, we do see that Gohan does better against Vegeta this time around, showing that teamwork does give them a power-up. The next relevant form of teamwork are in the Namek Saga, one with a special group that people adore, and the other is when Gohan and Krillin fought against Dodoria. The first that appears is Gohan and Krillin versus Dodoria. Both Gohan and Krillin were terrified when sensing the wild power of Dodoria. Of course, the main problem with this is not only did we never see a one-on-one fight between Gohan and Dodoria or Krillin and Dodoria, but they weren't trying to fight him, they were trying to save as many Namekians as they could and run away with their lives. So the most we get is Gohan kicking him away and then Krillin using the solar flare. But this doesn't really help argue either side of the argument if teamwork is a power-up or not, so I really won't go on this any further. The Ginyu Force, a special fighting organization in which they fight against others as a group. Of course, we do see something different this time though in Namek, as they fought their opponents one-on-one while playing rock, paper, scissors. In the end, this will be their ultimate doom. Now if we remember correctly, Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan were fighting against Godo the first round, and yeah, that wasn't really close. But the main fight that people will argue doesn't help my argument is Recoome versus Krillin, Vegeta, and Gohan. And even with their teamwork, they lost badly. Of course, it doesn't really go against my argument because the gap will still be there even if this power-up doesn't negate such a huge gap. Not to mention Vegeta's teamwork with Gohan and Krillin wasn't particularly existent, because Vegeta was just fighting with the main crew just so he can survive. And just the arc prior, he fought against the same group. So the teamwork that the group would have is a lot weaker than it would normally. But Recoome was just so much stronger anyways that it didn't matter. The only reason Recoome didn't murder the three right then and there was because Goku came to the rescue, cutting down the Ginyu Force numbers from 4 to 3. This put on notice to Jeice and Birder, who used their teamwork to fight Goku. Of course, just like Recoome, Goku was way too powerful for them. And then Jeice ran away. This is when Goku took the opportunity to knock out Birder. They are abandoning one another one by one. And because of this, the numbers go from 3 to 2, weakening their teamwork and making it even worse. The last time of this teamwork was Goku versus Jeice and Ginyu. Of course, it was more of a 1v1, but the teamwork was still there, and while Goku didn't lose in a normal sense, he lost because his body was taken away from him. The main reason the Ginyu Force failed was because the main crew, the main cast, used their teamwork to defeat the Ginyu Force. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin versus Ginyu and Jeice. Vegeta took Jeice one-on-one and destroyed him, while Goku, Gohan, and Krillin used their teamwork to win the battle and gain Goku's body back. Some may argue that Ginyu wasn't strong in the main cast. Unfortunately for that, he definitely was, because he took the body who was massively stronger than the Z Fighters at the time. Of course, he wasn't as strong as Goku was because he missed the key elements, the training that Goku had. But he was still stronger than Krillin and Gohan were at the time, which is why this team up between Gohan, Goku, and Krillin was so potent enough to defeat Ginyu in this situation. So of course, the power of teamwork worked, unless there's a huge gap in power between the two versus the one. The Android Saga is the next teamwork. Unfortunately, this teamwork is one where they fight against each other. There's nothing much I can say, but the fact the androids were bullying Gohan and Trunks shows how strong they are when they work together. Their strength was so much stronger than Gohan and Trunks that Gohan was killed by these androids and Trunks was left alone. So this made Trunks go in the past, defeat the androids in the past, well not him but Gohan specifically, by defeating Cell, get rid of the threat, evolve so much that he defeats Android 17 and 18 in the future, completely dominating them. Of course, it doesn't change my argument because I said there's a huge gap. No amount of teamwork buff is going to help you with that at all. But 17 and 18 were the dominating threat until Cell was introduced. so I won't go any further on this arc. Now for the arc that made me make this video, the Buu Saga, an arc defined by the team up fights and how much power these characters gain once they use teamwork. The Buu Saga has many forms of teamwork. The most popular of the bunch is fusion, yet many others would disagree. They don't think the two are the same at all. Yet the ultimate way fusions are a thing are when two characters agree completely and are embodied with one another to create one. If that's not teamwork, I don't know what is. Though what makes it crazier is that the power up the two gain after the fusion is so drastic and is permanent as well. But before I get to the exciting bit, I would like to go back to the early bits of the Buu Saga. The combined power of Goten and Trunks and the teamwork together evolves their power some more. Before they fused, they fought with each other at the same time to defeat their opponents. Yet, they couldn't defeat anyone crazy, which does change my argument a bit. The main thing that helps is that the fusions are the epitome of working together. When Goten and Trunks truly embrace their teamwork, they went from losing to Fat Buu in the original fight to beating Super Buu in their max power of Super Saiyan 3, a form similar to the most godly form in Dragon Ball, at least before Super was introduced. The form is so special that Goten and Trunks needed a special teamwork technique to unlock it, and it involves these characters in strength. Goku and Vegeta in this arc are also two characters that show a lot of teamwork throughout. The first is a fusion that amps them during and after the fact as well. Vegeta is a very popular character, one of which comes in a fight against Buu using the fusion technique. It is a fusion on fusion fight. Buu and Ultimate Gohan after Buu absorbed him and Vegito. We never got a number to the multiplier of absorption, but I think Akira does a great philosophy with this fight. A fight that's between two characters that are absolutely using teamwork versus someone who's forcing their powers into themselves. The power of teamwork is the reason Goku and Vegeta were able to win this fight, and of course it wasn't particularly close at all. This shows the true gap between true teamwork and forcing someone. This continues to help my argument because the closer the two characters are, the bigger the amp they get. The last time we see Goku and Vegeta using teamwork in the Buu Saga was versus Kid Buu, though it was mostly a 1v1, which is a huge reason why it was harder than it should have been. Though the Spirit Bomb is truly an attack that involves everyone, which is why it was so effective, even if it needed more of Goku's power to finish off this deadly foe. Throughout Super we get 3 examples of teamwork, and now they power up the characters. We don't get true teamwork till the Goku Black arc, an arc which I have complained in the past about, but one thing I've never complained about was Zamasu's strength. You see, Zamasu was a character that earlier that arc was defeated by Super Saiyan 2 Goku, yet throughout the rising tension of the arc, he was able to keep up with the blue Goku and Vegeta, especially when he was fighting with Goku Black together, showing their teamwork. Once they split away, they were having issues, starting to lose to the main cast. But when they were together, they were practically impossible to beat. So much in fact that when they fused, they needed the power of another fusion in order to at least have a chance to defeat him. Goku and Vegeta fused into Vegito, and while they didn't even beat them, they definitely were dominating the fight. It took Trunks' Spirit Sword to defeat the foe. Well, not completely, since Zeno destroyed Zamasu, it was close enough for them to gain victory. Anyway, the Tournament Power had the final bit of teamwork, and they were Caulifla and Kale early on in this arc, by fighting against Goku. Of course, Goku was just so much more powerful that they were, but a lot of fans have a problem with the scaling in this arc because they believe that it doesn't make sense that Kale and Caulifla were able to keep up with this Goku. But I truly think it does, especially when we remember the fact that Goku was just tired after using Ultra Instinct against Jiren the fight before. But it's not just that, it's the power of teamwork that Caulifla and KO show throughout this fight, which is why they were able to keep up. It doesn't show that they solo could deal with this Goku at all, because obviously they can't. But because of their teamwork, they were fighting way better than they would have normally. Which is why when they needed to, they used their strongest form of teamwork, and that's Kefla. But she also had her limits, in comparison to Ultra Instinct. But it's obvious that these characters keep getting stronger depending on how close they are with one another, and if they use teamwork as well. Lastly, the last time they used teamwork was when Goku and Vegeta was fighting against Jiren in a tournament power. Of course, Jiren was just so much stronger that they couldn't really do anything, but their performance in this round compared to when they were in Blue originally is much better than they did round 1, which is why I'm going to put it here. It's obvious that Goku and Vegeta grew in strength when they worked with one another, but the main issue is Jiren is just so much stronger that it didn't really matter. The only way to defeat Jiren is if Goku surpasses themselves and gets to the domain of the gods. With all these examples, the realization of teamwork in Dragon Ball is a secret ability that not many know of, especially because there have been no arguments on how it strengthens these characters the way it does. Fusions are a true power within the category of teamwork, but if the characters don't use fusion, the power they gain by fighting beside one another is impressive as well. This is why teamwork in Dragon Ball is a secret ability not many people know of. And if done correctly, they are a secret ability that Goku and Vegeta should use more often.